one day he came to the club, had a hissy on the door of Lotus. I smacked him in the face, told him to get back.
You hit him?
I smacked him.
Oh,
no, because we heard the story. We heard the story.
You really smacked Jeffrey Epstein.
I bitch slapped him. I was like, get the fuck out.
Welcome back to another episode of The Alarmists. Every once in a while, I have a guest that just shakes things up, and today is one of those days. I've got Mark Baker all the way from Bali, Indonesia, the king of the clubs. He ran New York. He's been all over the world, and he knows about the club business. He knows about how to live. And today I'm bringing Mark Baker from Bali. Mark, welcome. Come on down.
Yeah, well, good morning, Jesse. Good night, wherever you are.
Good night.
It's early morning here in Bali, Indonesia. I'm at the beautiful W Sound Studio here, Sound Suite. And gosh, back in the day, we would just be coming home at this time. Getting up to the podcast.
Now, if I did that now, I'd be sleeping for a fucking week.
It's just too painful to do it like we used to do it, Jesse.
Mark, I tell you something. When you want to create lifestyle, you want to create a way to enjoy yourself. Mark Baker gave New York, when New York was at its peak, man, you were doing it all. And right now in the middle, what?
And some.
Yeah, and some.
We slept. I think I slept in 15 to 20 years in New York.
That's right.
Like power naps.
What was sleep? What is sleep?
Some good times, Jesse. That's for sure.
Give a little. I mean, you're amazing. I mean, reading your bio is like it's like something out of a Hollywood movie. Ladies and gentlemen, did you know that Mark Baker was a circus performer? No, he didn't just work in the middle of the circus when the club started. He did it for real.
Yeah, I was only 9 years old.
Holy shit. Oh, my God. Tell me about that. How do you do that? It's always a joke. Mom, if you don't leave me alone, I'm running off with the circus.
I'll be honest with you, Jesse. It sounds really glamorous, and it certainly was crazy and fun. But, 9-year-old boys running around with circuses around England, is a bit sinister.
Yeah.
Back in the 70s, it was a pretty dysfunctional childhood. I don't need to elaborate on that, but it was a bit crazy.
It develops your survival skills.
That's exactly. It's been survival since 1962. That's what it's been. But Chipperfield Circus, biggest traveling circus in Europe, actually, came to Brighton. I got myself somehow wangled a job. I was being dressed up as a clown in a monkey suit, stuck on top of a van, driving around Brighton. The circus is coming to town. The circus is coming. And then, every once, we traveled a week ahead of the show. The show caught up. Then you had the nice stuff, the animals and the trapeze artists and all of that. But they're a rough lot of the circus, Jesse. It's like you've got all
the circus has people think it's elephants and dancing bears, but man,
there's a lot of people running away and want to be anonymous in the circus, and the ring boys and the pikeys. It got rough, but good. Everything's an education. If you use it to your advantage and learn from it, right?
But that's what I love about you, man. You are a true survivor. You know how to find the fun in things. And you know what? You've survived all that shit. And what's that old expression? If it don't kill you, it make you stronger.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's been close a few times.
And you have a lot of talents, man. I know that you skateboard. Talk about that. I have a lot of friends out there watching who are, really into that.
Thank you. And look at skateboarding is, I look at life. It's been a series of chapters, and every few years I have to reinvent myself. I didn't really have any education, didn't go to school, was always kind of getting in trouble and was destined for a life of crime and bad things. And then skateboarding came along, I was like, I was in Brighton, I was like 13, 14. So, what the fuck am I going to do with my life?
Mm.
There's only one
And
course.
Brighton is a pretty tough place. I've been there.
Very tough place, and there's only, there was villainy or you had, an education, and villainy was definitely was on the cards. And this thing called skateboarding came along, and it just grew and grew. And I had, all the time in the world because I wasn't going to school. And really put my heart and soul into it, and as did many others. And then skateboarding exploded. I was really lucky to get paired up with one of the greats, Tony Alva from Dogtown, Jay Adams, Jimmy Plumer. The Dogtown. I mean, apparently we're popular again now. We're like the OGs.
Yeah, you were pretty serious, man. That's pretty great.
Pretty much world champion, back then, skating pools, and now, of course, skateboarding. It's in the Olympics. It's every kid's skating again. Girls are skating again, which is amazing. And our original crew, the Big City, Brighton, and Dogtown, Santa Monica, California boys. We're the legends, kind of. So we're getting another 5 minutes of autograph signing and free beers at the bar.
So I want to know how it sounds good. How does a circus freak and a skateboarder make their way to the club world?
Well, well, there was a couple of stops in between, where I got into trouble, as when skateboarding ended, we all thought it would never end, and it did end. I was back in Brighton, back in the groove and all the villainy that was going on. And nothing terrible, but Brighton I definitely got that travel bug. And, I've been in California, I've been all over the world, touring with Tony. And, skateboarding was huge. We were rock stars back then.
Yeah, man.
And
then
I ended
pink laminate.
Yeah. I was like, I can't. If I don't want to fuck this up again, but I did a little bit. And then I was on holiday in Greece with a group of guys from Brighton, and I met this really cool group of kids from New York, and they're like, "Yo, man, come and stay with us," because they stayed with me.
And you took them up on it, huh?
Well, I did. And they're like, "Who's this?" It's not the fucker, New York. And yeah, I had this Porsche car, and I was banned from driving, and the cops were stopping me all the time, and I was a target. And I'd shipped the car over to America, and the dollar was the rate where we started making money. And then I was like, oh,
back then the drachma wasn't worth shit.
Yeah, it was the pound against the dollar. So I sold my cheap left-hand Porsche for a fortune in America. I was like, oh, we can make a business out of this. So we started importing cars, and I'll never forget first night. New York is just a fucking dream, right? Yeah. So I arrived at the airport I think it was on Freddie Laker's 50-pound
Freddie Laker. I haven't heard that in a while.
I think I had about $40 in my pocket, nothing. And but my mate was waiting for me outside on the Porsche to get to immigration. They're like, "Yo, how long are you going to stay?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know. It's America, land of opportunity, whatever it takes." And he's like, "Well, how much money have you got?" I go, "Yeah, $40." And he's looking at me like, "Yeah, right. The next flight's going back to England in about half an hour. Wow. Sling your up." And I was like, "No, I've got a Porsche." And he's looking at me, he's like, "Yeah, fuck off." So I was like, "No, really, I've got a Porsche." So he took me outside. He was just blue-eyed Irish, immigration guy. It was actually quite funny. And I went outside, my slick friend Bruno with his slick hair from I was in Fort Lee, New Jersey, he was from. And he goes, yo, has this clown got a fucking Porsche? And he goes, yeah, he's a fucking Porsche. And I never forget, he looks at me, he started laughing. He goes, New York's going to love you. Welcome to America,
you know already.
I was like, dude, he was laughing.
You know, that's amazing.
Well, hang on, it gets better. So we talk about club life. So, anyway, we drive in, and when you drive all through, get down to Hoboken, and as you see New York, and there's that place up on the hill, and you're looking at New York, and it was nighttime, and you just see all the cars coming, and look, I've got goosebumps right now. And just looking, you could feel the energy of the city. It was fucking. I was like, holy fuck, this is a real deal. We're not in Brighton
back
anymore.
then. New York had it, man, electric.
It was electric. So that night I go, well, what are we going to do? Let's party. And, bags of God knows what we were sniffing back then. It was good back then.
Yeah, really. It was pure.
I'm fucking high as a kite coming through the tunnel like this. And She goes, oh, we're going to this club called Area. I'm like, Area? Okay, Area. And she goes, Hot Club. I said,
Yeah, I
we
remember.
can get in, right? And they go, well, it's different. So we get to Area. There's about, 500 people outside. We're half a mile away at the back of the crowd. And I'm looking up and I'm like, holy fuck. That's my mate Jules Gayton, who was an old skateboarder. He was working on the door. So
Oh, your luck
like
has
screaming and waving.
changed.
And Jules has gone, oi, fuck him up. So he sent the whole of the troops out. This is my first night in New York. They partied, all the crowds. We blasted into area like 15 people. And I was like, I'm never fucking leaving this town. This is awesome. And
That's
of course,
amazing.
area back then was, Eric Good, Serge Becker. And they've done this, every month they changed the interior of the club. Marilyn was there, Boy George was there.
Wow.
Everybody, it was
And this
insane.
was your first night. What an indoctrination.
First night.
Welcome to New York, Mark Baker.
I was like, I'm never leaving New York.
I want to know something. It's amazing. You've been through a lot, and I think, even more so than most people I know. But you doing what you do, I know you've come across some of the top celebs that have existed in Hollywood. Have you ever been, when you've been through what you've been through, and you know what reality is and what real is and what truth is, when you get a celebrity that tries to exert that ego, have you ever been up against a celeb who's tried to boss you around and act like an asshole, and they just don't realize who they're fucking talking to?
You know what? I think, look, I don't need to, and at some point or other, I think I've met and seen and
what was one of the
with.
biggest challenges you ever had?
I think what you do, I've accepted, when promoting, and I was a waiter, I was God knows what I was doing. I became a manager, started my own business, downtown on the First Club, which we can talk about later. But I just accepted, look, my job is to host people and give them an experience in a restaurant or a nightclub, an experience that they take. Look, I'm not a dentist pulling out their teeth in the daytime. I'm going to surround you with beautiful girls. We're going to have a great time. Probably get drunk and do some naughties back then. And you're not going to remember me as some cunt that's pulling your teeth out. I'm the fucking guy you just had the best time of your life.
The pain you will feel won't exactly be the one that you want to forget.
And I just accepted that. Look, I don't have to flex any ego or my history. It's about them. You're in my house. It's the same as if you're coming to my house for dinner. So I've always taken care of them. And look, and after midnight, they, look, like you said, I've had a rough and tough life. I've seen and done some pretty fucking awful things, and I don't need to exert or flex that on people who come in the club. For me, you're all my kids. After midnight, you've had a few drinks in, you let your guard down, and I've never abused or failed that confidence, which is why places like Lotus and Double Seven, and the great partners I had, that's why they kept coming back, because they weren't going to read. I mean, they'd read that they were at the club, but they weren't going to read they were getting a dick sucked or something, or doing drugs or whatever. And that goes for presidents as well as celebrities and supermodels and all the rest of it.
Name two people you dealt with. Who are the most interesting or provocative A-list names that you've ever dealt with?
Oh man, there's just so many. I mean,
well, who pops into your head?
Sean Penn, I love him. Sean was crazy. He's a poet. Couple of drinks in, he's a very talented man, and he's funny and he's raw and all the rest of it. Jack Nicholson, what a character!
Oh man, I love Jack.
I'm saying the older names because if I say the young ones, you won't remember who they are. You're too old. I mean, Johnny Calvani, Adam Finkelstein, all the old.
Jack Nicholson when you were in his presence, it was something, yeah.
The first time I actually hung with Jack, we think we were in a broom cupboard looking for something at Mary Lou's.
Yeah, Mary Lou's, man.
Yeah, Mary Lou's. And I told my mum, Mum, you're never going to believe what I just did with Jack Nicholson. Darling, really? That sounds
he could party, man. He could party. I met Jack through Mamas and Papas Michelle Phillips.
Incredible.
So and Michelle Phillips was, when I first became a journalist, she was one of my first interviews. And right in the middle of the interview, I'm like, Michelle, are you fucking hitting on me? She's inviting me upstairs and all this shit. I'm going, is this what being a journalist is like? I'm going to really enjoy this gig.
I mean, look, there were look, there's a whole new generation of quasi-celebrities. I mean, but in all honesty,
But
like
this generation doesn't have a clue.
I
And
don't
COVID
want
is
to knock
not
the new
making it any
generation,
better.
but they haven't got a fucking clue. I mean, the tabloids and the all the videos that they have that need content have just created these celebrities out of nothing. But you can't put people like Jack and Sean and even Leo. I mean, Leo was a bit younger, but you can't put those people that sort of genre and that level of celebrity up against.
Even when Leo was young, Leo was part of
Yeah, it was
the.
great.
He was great.
He was great. He was always cool. Even though we had Life on Bleecker Street, Leo used to come in. Yeah, he's funny, great looking kid. And now he's doing great things. I just think New York. Remember, New York was 7 days a week,
Yeah.
and we say 24 hours a day. It didn't fucking stop. It was 20. We go from you'd roll to 5, 6 nails. You'd go here. You'd be going all night, and then you go to fucking Save the Robots on the Lower East Side. Take your life in
Save
your
the
hand.
robots, boy.
Sawdust floors. I mean, how many times I've had guns pulled on me in that fucking club? I was so go away. Another fucking gun, put that away. The milk bar.
You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that.
You know. And you want to bump?
When all else fails.
Yeah, and you just bounce around Manhattan, and it was all in that sort of south of 14th Street, north of Canal, east side, west side. Then we had, of course, the war on nightlife with Giuliani and the Happy Lands fire where people died up in the Bronx, and they wanted to show.
How did that affect you? I didn't know it affected you. How did it affect you?
It was a nightmare because at that time I had Metro CC and Flowers on 17th Street between 5th and 6th, which back then was almost a no-go area as well. You never went west of 5th Avenue.
No.
This is like 93, 94. And then Giuliani and his disco task force, declared war on nightlife. Community boards started, they got angry and they had votes. And Giuliani, this sort of terrorized the nightlife industry for some years. Shut down, Metro. That was one of the first to go. You weren't allowed to have DJs. Anyway, so that was this ongoing war. I mean, the night we got shut down at Metro, I had JFK and Elle Macpherson dancing on the table with the fire chief.
Oh
it was,
my
and,
what a photo!
I got the photo. It's on the cover of the Daily News back then.
Oh, really? It actually was photographed.
Yeah, there was like 800 people outside waiting to come in. It destroyed nightlife. Anyone that was jiggling, that was a ticket. They shut you down and tortured you. Dave Rabin, my wonderful partner from Lotus, he started the Nightlife Association, started to fight back a bit. And then, of course, there's Pitigation and the tunnel and all of that. We went through that chapter. Yeah. He was he was the target of the disco task force for quite some time. And when we were at war, then, of course, we went into the meatpacking district. It was the last place we could go. And back then it was like, there was fucking carcasses and dead bodies in them freezers, and it was the boys down there. It was all all of that lot. And there was a strip club.
Kiss the ring. Kiss the ring.
No, there was a strip club called Fat Boys, and they were like, "Wait, Vinny wants to see you."
Okay. Yeah, Vinny.
Vinny, how you doing? Vinny's like, "Yo, I heard you fucking promote clubs. Why don't you fucking come and promote my fucking club?" I was okay. Oh boy, what am I getting involved in? And I always try to avoid getting involved with everybody. Just welcome.
The riff-raff.
Well, you're welcome to the club, but I don't want to do business with you. Anyway, that's got a price to pay for.
So anyway, you see how New York is now.
Well, hang on, let me finish off what happened.
Oh, you had more? Tell me more, man. I'm loving this.
Because so we're down there, and it was we in the meat packing, and I said, "Yo, promote the fucking club." And I'm looking at the club saying, "I want the fucking club. I don't want to promote the club. I want to take the club.
I want to buy it.
How the fuck am I going to take the club from these guys, And I was just like, give it another. I remember running out the meeting and calling Will Regan and Dave Rabin and saying, "Yo, guys, I think we've got a fucking great venue. We might just have to wait a little bit to get it when it goes broke, So I pretended to promote, and I wasn't promoting at all for them.
So you eventually got it? You wrestled it for them?
Oh, fuck yeah, we got the club. Wow. But then, we opened up, and summertime was so bad, there was so much blood and smell in the street that we had to light incense for 6 hours to get away the smell.
Get the stench, yeah.
And then we opened up during Fashion Week, Jeffrey Jarr, Will Regan, Dave Rabin, and me. And Lotus was next level. It was like the next generation of supper clubs. It wasn't a big disco. It was
No, I remember it well,
a
man.
great chef.
It was
That place
amazing.
was the Oscars every night. And then 9/11 happened, like, right after we opened. So that was obviously, that New York just took a big one on the chin, with that. And slowly things came back. New York spirit never dies. And we opened up, and Lotus dominated for like 6, 7, 8 years. Us and
Yeah.
Amy, of course. Amy Sacco had Bungalow. There was there was a handful of us, of the old school.
Wow. No,
and,
but I mean,
and we
6, 7,
smashed.
8 years is a lifetime in the club business.
Oh, it was amazing. And then, then the meat packing started to come. I mean, back then we were at nighttime. There was transvestites and crack, and it was dangerous down there. But now, and then it morphed into what it is now. But the battle has always been to keep residents out of the meat packing, so that the residents don't come in and then eventually kick nightlife people out.
So have you been to New York since all this craziness happened, or no?
No. I was in New York about 2 years ago. I was going every 6 months, but obviously COVID shut that down. I was in LA to pick up a wolf about 3 months ago, and that was it was sad. Lots of homeless people, lots of mental health issues, people on the street, people.
I mean, at times during the pandemic, I felt like I was in the set of The Walking Dead.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching every day. I mean, New York. Oh my God, it was awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
I was just there for a week. It was the first time I was there for a week.
Where are you now? Then where are you?
Well, I'm in the Hamptons now, man. I'm where
man.
the rich and famous come to play.
The rich and shameless come to play out there.
Oh, behave.
Remember Conscience Point in the Hamptons? We used to do Conscience Point.
I've been to Conscience Point many times. Yeah.
I remember taking what we were. Well, so many fucking stories, and I'll keep going if you don't stop me.
I'm not stopping.
Yeah,
That's why
I remember
we're on TV.
Yeah, Russell Simmons had a house out there.
I was going to ask you about Russell. I just saw Russell.
Russell's
because I know Russell and I talked about you. He's not too far from you. He told me you guys have gotten together.
Russell's a guru.
Oh yeah. No, I thought he was having a lot of problems, and he left. And I know that he's quietly slipped back into town. I think he's still here, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got the kids. Look, Bali's a very forgiving place, and I can't. I think we've all done things in our, not necessarily about Russell, but anyone. I think we've all done things that we're not proud of in our life sometimes. Bali is look. I used to come here every summer, just to hug a tree, cry for a month, and get some sleep, and then go back and get fucked up in New York again for 11 months.
See how much money you saved in shrinks?
I just go hug a tree and see a healer.
Oh my God.
Bali's an amazing place. Yeah, Russell's up in the wood. There's a lot of people who are popping in, and I think, post-COVID, Bali, everybody wants to come to Bali. I mean, I must admit,
Bali has this, you say the name Bali, and it has this mystique to it. It's like you think of like tie-dye and colors and psychedelia, not like
there
that.
There are multi-million-dollar villas all the way up the coast now. But it's look, we've got an amazing infrastructure. You've got traditional Bali, religion, Hinduism. It's a form of Hinduism. You're immersed in it. I mean, they have 247 ceremonial days a year. So I have to have a staff of 2 because half of them are at ceremonies all the time. Everywhere you step, there are these.
It's a big Arabic underculture there. No,
it's actually more Buddhist Hindu, to be honest. The rest of Indonesia is it's the most populous Muslim nation on the planet. But Bali is 98% sort of this mix of Hindu Buddhism. But they just celebrate every facet of every. I mean, kids don't touch the ground for the first 6 months they're born. There's offerings everywhere. So you've got this parallel thing going on, where you've got the Bali life, which is supreme. And then, the foreigners that live here, and we all live harmoniously and most of the time. And it's just magical, beautiful. You've got mountains, you've got oceans, you've got jungles, you've got towns, you've got some of the best restaurants. We have organic farms and juice companies and restaurants, and an amazing day club called Savaya, which is perched on top of the cliff in Uluwatu, probably the most spectacular club I've ever seen on the planet. It's absolutely insane. So you've got a little bit of everything, and you get to taste it all. And and to be honest with you, Jesse, look, most of the world right now you can get drugs on tap. You can get anything you want and a phone call. 20 minutes, you're fired. 15 minutes, you're fired. Bali, it's really, they have a really strict drug policy here. Thank God. It's one of the reasons why, not the reason, but a small part of why I came here when I got sober in New York off the bad stuff. It was time to move on to the next chapter, and just Bali isn't that cocaine-driven society, and there's just so much magic and beauty. I never saw dawn for 20 years without being grumpy, angry, or not having slept. Now I make sure I'm up before dawn because I just love to hear those birds sing and the beauty of dawn. And it's a beautiful thing. Look, when you're ready, everyone, you go through your phases, and I'm not knocking anyone who's partying their asses off, of course, but Bali you just don't need it. And most of our sort of most of our, I won't say nightlife, it's day life, is geared towards, their day clubs. So
I think it's more quality of life. You seem to have figured it out.
It's the best quality of life. And you've got all the healthy stuff to do. It's a great life. It's just, I haven't regretted a second.
It definitely agrees with you, man. I can see it in your face.
I'm alive.
You got a nice tan, you got your hair, and I don't know if Bali's the reason, but
every 10 years
you've got a champignon.
Every 10 years it comes around. I think they call it a man bun now.
A man bun, right? Yeah, it's a little more masculine.
Let's talk about New York. What's going on in New York right now?
Well, New York right now is kind of in a clusterfuck. When I was there for the week, it seemed normal, but there were moments like when I walked through Times Square and I witnessed a gun battle, and right in the middle of daylight, and someone got shot.
Shooting in Times Square.
Yeah, man.
No,
because you want to believe I'm so conditioned. The minute I go back to New York, no matter how long I've been gone, I just get my zone. But then you got a rude awakening, and I wouldn't go on the subways now. It's not safe.
It was a bad summer you had there, right? Up in
more murders. What was worse is that the violence was taking place during the daylight hours.
Yeah.
I mean, and murders taking place all over the place. And it's just, you don't want to, I don't want to be in a city where, I'm a family man now. I'm a father. I would not want my kids there because I wouldn't be. I'd be freaking out. Like, what's going to happen each day?
Back in the 90s, in between, when we were importing cars and we smashed all the cars up, and I was like, "Fuck, what do we do now?" I was working actually as a repo guy for a couple of families, and
a repo man.
Repossessions.
I know. There's a movie. Don't you know? There's a repo man.
My partner was this crazy Israeli guy, ex-military. God knows how many fucking people he's popped off. But so we'd have to go and repossess stuff up in the Bronx, Harlem, East Brooklyn. I mean, we were in the worst possible. We were the only white guys there.
You have really done it fucking all. I'm telling you.
I mean, I was also,
You're a character actor.
I was hooking fucking, sleeper bed furniture up 18 flights in Harlem while everyone was smoking crack around us,
Have you thought of writing a book, Mark? Have you thought about writing a book?
It's in process. I think Netflix is having a little nibble. We'll see what
happens. You've written something.
Yeah, well, we're getting there.
What's it called? Can you tell me the name?
I haven't got a name for it yet. My life, survival.
Maybe you should call it.
I'm just back to the violence because back then, the South Bronx, East Harlem, Brooklyn, it was rough.
It would be a great movie, man. If it's a book about your life.
But it wasn't want violence. They were robbing you. You know what I mean? Because they wanted the money for the crack. We were carrying guns and fucking, handcuffs and God.
Is this the first time? Is this the first time you've revealed that you're working on a project? Have you told anybody this?
This is good. Yeah. I think this is an exclusive for you, Jesse.
Yeah, I'm just. I got a job to do, Mark.
We just got to figure out, which chapter we choose: the circus, the skateboarding,
so
the fucking debt collecting, the club life, the Wolfman or Bali, whatever the fuck we.
I'm telling you, this is Martin Scorsese's got to direct this, or somebody like him. This would be amazing. You have surfed, you have navigated your way through this life in a way I didn't. I thought I knew you. This has been fascinating. Even now, I didn't know half the shit you're telling me until now.
It's survival. Look, you work with the
but you
cards.
did it with imagination, man.
I mean, look, some bad things have happened, and I just think that you don't, I mean, you take care of yourself and you do what you. I mean, I got fucking shot and stabbed in New York and pistol whipped and God knows what, back in the day. A lot of that was I could have avoided if I'd.
Is there a moment? Was there a tipping point in your life?
Every other week.
Not that kind of tipping point.
It's survival. You keep.
But was there like a
actually, yeah. I think not a tipping point. I mean,
an aha moment then.
I stick a gun in my face and it misfired twice in my head. That was a.
Whoa! Why? Why? I want to know why.
That was a moment of divine intervention. But no, I think through all the club stuff, look, I'm a showman, I'm a salesman, and I have fun with it, and I love what I do. I love people, but there was a time, back, club promoters weren't really looked on, not favorably, but we were club promoters, and owners or whatever. But I opened up my first place before it got shut down, the Metro place, and I made the cover of the New York Times, and that's
on the cover of the New York Times. Oh my God, I didn't know that either. What was that about?
It was about the art of making a restaurant hot using fabulous, beautiful people,
Wow.
And Metro was the place of the moment with all the supermodels and all of that. But the New York Times came out and I was like, oh fuck, they're like Mr. Baker's day started. Mr. Baker, am I Mr. Is that me? I couldn't believe it actually. And I was like, that was like, and I was getting calls from all over the world, and I was like, fuck, I think I've done something quite good here. Maybe I'm actually quite good at something. And that was I mean, we love Page Six, and God bless Emily and Richard Johnson and everybody, but this is the New York Times, and it was a big, a lot of shit happened right after that. And then I just had another New York Times story about a year ago about where do guys like me go after New York? Where do we go after New York, and how do you reinvent yourself, and is there life after nightlife? Because a lot of people die, Jesse. A lot of broken marriages, broken homes, overdoses. People don't know when to move on, and it's a young game, and I think you got to know in whatever you do, you got to know when it's your time to move on gracefully. It's not a good look for some 60-year-old guy and 20-year-old models in a nightclub. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's the new generation. Noah, Jason, Scott, Rich. All these young.
And now we're in
over. He's doing great. It's the young kids. And they're more business savvy. We couldn't believe we were getting paid to fucking party. These kids are making big money, and they're doing it. They're doing it great.
Yeah, I mean, right now in New York and right now in the country, we have this whole cancel culture, this whole woke mentality. If I didn't know you well, I wouldn't be able to say half the things I just said. It's become to a point where we're all becoming so self-conscious. If you don't know the person standing next to you, if even talking politics, talking sex, talking about anything, you have to look over your shoulder to make sure you're in the right company before you can open your mouth.
I think there's definitely look right now. There's a big scandal going on. There's a couple of the big model agents, which is just a follow on from Me Too and Weinstein and that despicable human being, and the culture of Me Too, which has now obviously entered many fields and areas of industry, especially around the fashion industry. I think the club world kind of dodged a couple of bullets there with some characters that were in the club business. I was always quite proud of the fact.
It's amazing that with all the accusations that are coming out, 40 years ago you fucked me on the couch. It's like, but you never hear about the clubs. No one is bringing up stories like
there was a couple of stories about some promoters about them, but we had our rules. I'm sorry, Jez, we're old school fucking gangsters. You know what I mean? You don't fuck with kids. You don't fuck with old ladies or parents. You do the right thing. It doesn't mean you don't. We were doing the dinners with the models and the photographers, and but we were responsible. We made sure that the girls got home, and that we belted a few that were giving them drugs, But now it's come out, there's a big deal with some of the big French model agents. And of course, this is all in the wake of Epstein, another despicable fucking human being.
Did you ever deal with him?
Huh? One day he came to the club had a hissy on the door of Lotus. I smacked him in the face, told him to get back.
You hit him?
I smacked him.
Oh.
Nah, because we heard the story. We heard the
You
story.
You really smacked Jeffrey
Epstein.
Epstein.
I bitch slapped him. I was like, get the fuck out. Because he was an uptown guy and he didn't go out that much.
Wait, back up. So what the fuck happened? Tell me the story here.
We had a big night at Lotus, and and Jeffrey came down, Epstein came down, and I didn't really know the man, but we heard the stories and of his mansion up on 58th, 60th Street, wherever he was up there. And he came down, he started to have a little hissy on the door.
And you said you heard the stories. What were the stories back then?
No, just that he was inappropriate. There was girls coming and going from the house,
Uh-huh.
No, he did. I didn't. He was more of an uptown crowd. He was more, it wasn't our crew. We were downtown. We were the downtown cool crowd. He was like, he was like that uptown.
Look, I know for you to bitch slap somebody, he must have really pissed you off.
I was really stressed and probably hadn't slept in a week, and it was a big night and people were pushing at the door.
So what happened? Give me a.
No, I just started fucking having a hissy fit, and I was just like, oh, stop, and he started getting up on the face. So I just clipped him and just like, look, said, fuck off, you're not coming in. Get up.
How did he react, man? Did he fall to the floor? Did he look at you in shock?
No, I was just like, get out.
Did he have a good cry?
No, you just. But I jumped off the door because that's why I never stand on the door. The last time, that lunatic fucking stabbed me and tried to shoot me. What was his name? That crazy dude.
Who stabbed you?
Yeah, the guy stabbed me at nails because I wouldn't let him in Lotus.
I remember that, but who was the guy again?
Mad John. These people, wow. I think they still probably take it serious, but if you couldn't get in a club in New York, it was a big fucking deal. It was like your whole life, your whole worth, your whole, you weren't, if you got in, you were down. And if you didn't get in, you were, it's like your whole worth. People based their whole being in New York City about getting into a club. And that started with 54 and Steve and those guys. But, Lotus was a tough door. How those guys do that door, poor Henry and all those guys, how they do that, how they did that.
Did you ever see anything where you wish you hadn't seen it?
We've only got an hour. It'll take me 3 months to tell you.
Would you like me to bring a couch in and you can lie down?
No, I'll just stay. But I'm at the W Hotel, so they got nice suites.
It's like the shrinks go. What do you think?
Yeah, look, of course, there was a girl one day getting. I heard there was mixed stalls at the Tunnel, and the Tunnel was a pretty rough place too. Downstairs they had all the club kids, Michael Alec, and that whole gay scene, crazy club kid scene. We were upstairs in the green room, and some girl I heard shout. It was a unisex toilet, so there was a girl obviously getting abused in a bathroom stall, and we went in and there were two guys there, obviously not being polite, and we dealt with them. Got the girl, put her in a car, sent her home, and got a call 2 days later on. It was a very big wise guy's daughter, and big one. And he was like, "Oh, you Mark fucking Baker, I want to say fucking thank you. I owe you one, Oh, thank you." Wow, and then a few months later, when I actually had a problem with someone, he actually intervened, and he was one of the big guys, and
I can't wait for you to have a movie come out, man.
We'll call it quits, I was like, well, thank you, Mr. G, thank you. Wow. Saved my life. I was probably going to get popped for what I did to these guys.
Now, you've had a lot of people save your life. Have you ever saved anyone's on the job?
All the time.
Wow.
Just stuff like like obviously the overdoses. A lot of overdoses. We had a couple in Lotus, up in the. We had
anyone that we revere that owes you a little. No, you can't tell. I know that.
No.
You can't make me talk.
Look, there's a lot of celebrities. Look at Phoenix. River.
Yeah, I had a couple of
there was a time in New York, and I think it's actually sadly coming back. You had half the town was doing heroin and half the town was doing coke. So you go to the Spy Bar. And around midnight, you'd start to see little cliques sort of pairing off, and half of them would be going downtown, and half of them would be going uptown. Right. And then they started mixing it all up, and people started dying of this, speedballing. which
Yeah.
was, putting the two
Well,
together
that's
because you're
what killed
hardly
John Belushi, man.
dude.
That's
And
it.
there's plenty that have died. So, I look at, again, I think what the, I don't want to keep going on about the drug thing, but it is such a big thing. If you look at the young guys these days who are running, nightlife empires, they're just not sitting there doing coke till 8 o'clock in the morning. They're about business, and they do, go out, have some drinks, but it's more responsible. We were nuts. I mean, we didn't stop. I mean, we were crazy, but we still got up, and went to work and, and did all our stuff. But it was a bit more abandonment. We would
Ben,
stop.
yeah.
But I mean, I don't know how I fucking did it for that long and partied and was functional as and kept a nightlife, also a mini nightlife empire. We were doing events all over the world, fashion weeks in Paris, Milan, and London, Grand Prix, Monaco, Cannes film festivals, Ibiza. I mean, we were fucking on jets all the time.
So what's your next? So what's your next chapter, man? What are you planning?
Well, when I started to get sober in New York, this wonderful guy called Marcus Antebi from the Juice Press says, "Oi, I had, I've been going home and I thought I was going to be healthy. I put on about 20 kilos because I was actually eating at night.
What
I
a
was
concept.
fucking ordering 6 burgers and 2 pizzas at 1 a.m. And I felt miserable. And he was like, dude, I know you're sober and that, but you look like shit. I'm like, fucking tell me, but I'm going to go back and do the coke because I want to lose the weight. And so he said, no, you got to start this thing called cold pressed juice. I'm like, what the fuck is a cold pressed juice? He goes, it's this way that we make the juice and we mix it. And I was like, okay, I'll give anything a try. So we started with this store on, First and First down on the Lower East Side. And I got addicted to it. It was amazing. I started to lose weight, getting healthy, got my game back on again. And then it turned into a huge deal. The Juice Press, New York, is famous. I think we've got 100 and something stores they got there now, and
Right.
I made more money from juice than I ever did in nightclubs. And
amazing.
I was running around New York City.
What an oxymoron.
I'm fucking sober. Everyone's got to be sober. Have a juice. They're like, oh fuck, here we go, marking those.
Can you
fucking
imagine if I ran into you on the street when you're doing that? I'd be like, what the fuck?
I was running around all the model legs. I was like, that's it. Forget the coke and the cigarettes. It's all about the juice. But it worked, Wow. So juice blew up. Then so I came, when it was time, and just before leaving New York, and I thought long and hard about leaving New York City. I thought I don't want to leave and then come back, and I've got to really want to do this and put my heart. And I'd just done a year sober in New York, and we'd opened up 777. And it was a smash hit until there was a big fight with the fucking Prince in there and all that bollocks. But then I was like, that's it, time to check out. And sold up, cashed out, came to Bali, opened up an amazing sort of 5-story club, restaurant, lounge, rooftop gallery venue here. Started doing juice. It didn't go. Bali had its own plans for me. My girl went back to New York, which was sad but inevitable. And I was
you look the healthiest I've ever seen you, man.
Thanks, bro. I feel that.
You've got all your energy. Mark Baker, man. This is amazing to do.
But hang on, get to the last bit because it gets to then I'm like, okay, I'm not meant to be owning and doing nightclubs again because I was about to start opening clubs all over Asia, and I got one on the chin. Townhouse really taught me a lesson. I got my ass handed to me for many, many different reasons. And it was a very humbling experience because I lost everything and I was empty again. And I was like, oh, fuck, man, what am I going to do now, So, and I can't go back to New York.
You always seem to figure it out.
I went up in the mountains and, was running around barefoot for a few months and getting healthy and learning to love dawn again. And then we started doing organics and growing organic things. Then we opened up another big juice company in the Raw here and restaurants and now and then I started, breeding wolves. So I
saw those wolves, man. You got to send Noah a little video clip. I want to put them on the show because they are something to behold. When I told Russell Simmons that I knew you and I said, man, what's with Mark and those wolves? He burst out laughing.
Yeah, he still can't get his head around the fact I walk around barefoot. He's like, Mark, why are you always barefoot? Those wolves. What's up with the wolves?
No, the only person, you're the only other time I had an incident, I actually was with Siegfried and Roy, and they told me how. God. Yeah, I went on a hot air balloon with them. It was written about a New York magazine.
White tiger?
Well, unfortunately, what happened to him, and now they're both gone, but they used to let the white tigers roam free. They would do their thing, go in the kitchen, make a coffee, and the tigers would roam around. And they didn't even know. He told me a great story. He didn't even know that one of them was pregnant. All of a sudden, the it's going back and forth and back and forth. And all of a sudden he turns and he's like, oh my God, she's giving birth.
Unbelievable. My wolf actually, and sadly, you know, he got savaged by that tiger. But my female just gave birth again. So I think I've got like I got 13 at my house at the moment, 6 adults and 7 pups.
13?
Yeah,
Lucky
I love
13.
Ow!
Ladies and gentlemen, the Wolfman from Bali, Mark Baker. It was so great to have you on the show. What an amazing interview. I can't wait for your movie to come out. You got to tell me the title. And please, the next time I see you, don't bitch slap me.
All of you, I'll just wait for you guys to come and join us in Bali. Come and take
I'm going to have to, man.
It's truly beautiful. It'll always put magic in your heart. I miss New York. I love New York. I'll always be a New Yorker at heart. And, you know.
Well, thank you for coming on. This was a kick-ass interview, man. A lot of love, a lot of love.
Love, Jesse. Right, be good. Take care. Bye, New York. We love you.
Love you too, baby. Say hello to the Bali girls.